there's the story of Jonah Hill being emotionally abusive with his ex-girlfriend and weaponizing therapy talk in an exchange of texts and in like a lover's spat. We are going to be dissecting this and really drawing out some of these important conclusions, especially from if you don't know what you're doing in dating. My name is Aaron. I just do a Christian perspective and reactions to viral things in culture, and this seems to be the news of the week here. Okay, so on Saturday, Jonah Hill's ex-girlfriend, Sarah Brady, accused the actor of emotional abuse as she shared several screenshots of their text exchanges during their relationship. Okay, look at, you see him here. She's a former swimmer or semi-pro swimmer. The couple started dating in August 2021 and made their red carpet debut at the Don't Look Up premiere in December of that year, splitting up early 2022. And in the screenshots, which Sarah posted on her Instagram story, contact is saved in her phone. Jonah can be making a list of demands for the semi-professional surfer. Okay, so here she is. And some of these demands, we have to get into, like, what's behind this, okay? And are these acceptable? These included, details to the Centers for Boundaries for Romantic Partnership. Okay, so she releases these texts to everyone. Okay, so the blue is Sarah, and the gray is him, Jonah. And so he sends a screenshot and says, "Respect how you want to live your life. You only get one. Sort of done explaining myself." So I'm sure there's like this explanation that's going in. And so these boundaries included boundaryless, inappropriate friendships with men, not modeling and not having friendships. So here it is, right? She posted this. These are his lists of boundaries. Plain and simple, if you need, surfing with men, boundaryless, inappropriate friendships with men, to model, to post pictures of yourself in a bathing suit, to post sexual pictures, friendships with women who are in unstable places, and from your wild recent past beyond getting a lunch or a coffee or something respectful. I am not the right partner for you. If these things bring you to a place of happiness, I support it, and there will be no hard feelings. These are my boundaries for a romantic partnership. My boundaries with you based on the ways these actions have hurt our trust. Okay, so he's basically, and they're saying they weaponized therapy talk or whatever. I mean, that's for you to decide. But he's essentially laying out the stipulations of their relationship. Now, I don't know how long they've been dating. Certainly, there are unsaid stipulations and boundaries within relationships. For instance, exclusivity is a clear unsaid one. Like if you are committing to someone to be their boyfriend and girlfriend in that exchange, that is an automatic commitment to saying no to everyone else. Otherwise, you're cheating, right? This is unsaid. You don't have to verbally say those things, but there are other things you have to verbally say. For instance, me being a pastor, I couldn't allow my wife to be posting pictures in thongs and bikinis. I wouldn't allow that to happen. And when I say allow, I don't mean allow in the sense of like she is, I'm the master and she's the slave. I mean, that is a boundary for me, morally, professionally, in so many ways, personally. And I would not be okay with it. And I think this is the same for everyone else. Everyone has their things, right? That they are not okay with the actions of certain actions. And if those certain actions are carried out by your romantic partner, then okay, those have to change. It has to stop. Something has to stop. Like either the commitment to the relationship has to stop or whatever. So explaining why she decided to share these texts on Instagram, Sarah said, "Keeping it to myself was causing more damage to my mental health than sharing it could ever do." So she decides to share these things because it's helpful to her mental health. She felt abused by him, okay? And just so you know, she on Monday, she returned to her social media page and specified that she'd purposely waited until Jonah's girlfriend, Olivia Millar, had given birth to their baby so as to not cause undue stress while Olivia was pregnant. So she waited till the baby was born, and then here you go. Here's a whole host of PR. Here's a whole host of capitalizing on that. Now Jonah and Olivia announced the arrival of their daughter early June. And then she goes on to say, like, hey, Sarah also shared some screenshots that added extra content to the situation, including insight into messages in her inner circle, saying that they were good friends. So let's get right into that. This is her saying, and I asked him to make a list of his needs, but I think his list ended up being like 5 rules for me, not anything that he needed. The freedom to do in his life himself. Like his list of needs was not a list of needs, it was a list of expectations, rules for me. Yeah, I think expectations are normal, right? Rules it makes it seem, it paints it in a different picture, like you're gonna get punished, but actually it's just in the list of expectations, like a social contract saying like, hey, if you keep doing these, if you keep breaking my expectations or breaking what I feel like is expected from our relationship, we can't be together. And he actually said that early. So it was one of those things where it's like, he is totally being respectful to you, saying like, hey, I'm not the right partner for you. When we ended it, it was because we couldn't agree on that. And then I stayed friends with him for the next 6 months, and he just kept chalking up our breakup to us being in different places in life, when that's, bull s. That's not the main reason. It wasn't working. So he kept me on as a close emotional confidant after the breakup, texting me on July 13, visited me at my apartment in my hometown, and then waited till a week after I moved to Hawaii for law school to send me a text being like, by the way, I'm in a new relationship. And I think they are in a different place. I think that text right here is very telling, because this is what the Bible would probably refer to as being unequally yoked. It's that issue where someone is in a different mental space, emotional space, spiritual space, professional space, where, the term comes from like 2 oxen, and one has got, all the yoke and all the strength, and the other one's kind of weak, and like, it doesn't work out well because you're always trying to drag that other, ox. And I think in the same case, this is it, right? Like, to be unequally yoked is to like date someone who doesn't have the maturity, and I wouldn't say same maturity, because maturity, really shows itself in stressful situations, but it's really like same values is what it really is. And he is a A-list celebrity, notable at anywhere he wants, could get a girl at any time, and he's probably to this place where he's like, I don't want that girl. Like, I don't want that from, like, I'm ready to settle down. I'm ready to have a family. Clearly, I don't want that for my kids. I just don't physically want that. And so I felt like that was interesting. And if you're like a young person who is in the dating scene and you are trying to figure out like who to date, you got to start with what you value. It's interesting because the values will dictate the type of people you would want to have in the rest of your life. The values are important because, it's core to who you are. Now, here's an example. I have here a sheet of paper, right? Now, if you were to take this sheet of paper, and I'm going to draw a circle, and that is you, okay? You're that circle. And in the circle, you have the most important thing in your life. And let's say that is these values, or I would even say love of God, okay? If you're a Christian, I don't know if that's backwards, but yeah, that's the love of God. If you hold that to the center of who you are, someone, your boyfriend or girlfriend, they'll never know the most important part of you if they don't accept that same thing, if they don't have God at the center of their hearts. You understand? They'll always feel like they're being put second. They'll always feel like they're not understood. They'll feel like used, mistreated, abused, because you have placed your love of God and your values above first, before, more important than them. They need to be the center. They need to be most important. However, when you meet someone else with the same values and the same love for God, Jesus loving person, but that value isn't the center of both your guys' lives, then you can then appropriately, get in a healthy relationship with them. Now, all things being equal, like, someone doesn't cheat or something crazy like that. Anyway, I think that's important, and this is the case here, is that this guy, Jonah, has different values. I mean, it's clear, right? The values are, whether or not these values are acceptable, these terms or conditions are acceptable, that's not really the case. That's not really the point. Everyone's got their own boundaries. Everyone's got, his just happens to be, don't post sexual pictures. Don't go to lunch with these types of people, because I know those types of people and they just drag you back down. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not that bad. And it's probably because this girl is always doing it, trying to chase clout. Now, the story does go on. It goes on in an interesting path because he starts sexting her. And she screenshots it. I'm not going to read this whole article for you because, quite frankly, this is a lot of drama for me, right? But this is crazy because she says, she accuses them, right? Not that it's really my business, but out of my own personal chicks before D's code, if that's headed anywhere other than hooking up or fling, I'd appreciate if you make that woman aware of how recently you've been flirting with me, sexing me, and leaning on me for partner level emotional support. He thumbs it down and says, "I'm sorry. What lady?" And apparently he's been sexting her, and she was hurt because he moved on so quickly for after the relationship. And then she proceeds to send him screenshots of of that. I guess it's Snapchats or something like that, of him sexting her. To which he replies, "Yeah, this is screenshotting intimate text between us is a huge triggering violation for me and breach of trust as a friend. As I have explained to you about breaches of trust I have had between trusted friends recently that have caused me trauma. I'm incredibly hurt and feel a lack of safety where I've always trusted you." Now, I'm trying to put myself in Jonah Hill's shoes. You are a target when you are a celebrity. People around you don't see you for you anymore. At least I don't think so. They see you as like a little opportunity to grab some money. And so I could assume that Hollywood's probably like a bunch of backbiting, backstabbing people. I'm overgeneralizing here. I'm sorry, Hollywood. But people trying to get theirs. And he says, "I'm sorry if a former partner moving on is painful, and I empathize with that, but I have done nothing wrong. And if I wasn't a public person, I wouldn't face this kind of violation. And having shared that with you, and then watching you be like this today shatters my ability to trust anybody even further. I've always shown you kindness and support." And it goes on, right? And I'm not going to go through this. Basically just saying like, "Hey, I was gaslit. Hey, I'm not gaslighting you." I think what's happening here is a couple things. For one, we cannot solve emotional problems over text. Can't do it. Do not. If you're a young person and you're trying to break up, don't do it over text. If you got something emotionally charged, don't do it over text. If you are so emotionally, if there's a lot of emotional freight behind the text, don't send it. Don't send it. Fight yourself. Instead, call them. And if you don't call them, escalate the situation. Go see them in person. If you're in other states, is it worth the drive? Is it worth the fly? It's at least worth the phone call. It's at least worth the video call. Okay? So whatever you think is emotionally charged and you're going to communicate with that with someone else, try to think about the highest level of communication and try to get to that. If you can text them, you can call them. If you can call them, can you drive to them? Can you fly to them? All that. Can you see them in person? Doing this breakup stuff over text is painful. Why? For so many reasons. Could be taken out of context. Could be put in a BuzzFeed article. Could be misunderstood. Could be shared with the world. Just don't do it. And there's a lot more to communicate, right? It's very hard to communicate empathy through text. He could say, "I empathize with that," but she's not feeling that. She wants to feel heard. She wants to be, I'm not trying to excuse her behavior, right? I'm just saying, like, communicate that through emotional, like physical, like you need the tone, you need the body language, you need all that. Second, you got to find someone who's equally yoked. You gotta find someone who is in a mature place as you. And maybe you're not in that mature place. Well, then you probably shouldn't be dating, because then you're now that person. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. My name's Aaron. If you like this channel or this kind of stuff, please hit subscribe, hit like, hit the notifications, and I'll see you in the next video. Check out this new video I did with Andrew Tate, not with Andrew Tate, like on his content. Anyway, thanks so much. I'll see you later.